I'm kind of getting spoiled to this, just kind of sitting around and having my coffee, but at the same time, I really miss seeing your all's faces and having some one-on-one conversations and yeah, all that good stuff. I am 60. I have COPD, so I have to stay at home. But yesterday, I had to go to the post office, and it felt so good just to be outside that I just took a drive and just to be outside. And the result of that is I have allergies this morning. And every year when spring comes, it's like I love Kentucky, but then it also says, welcome to the allergy symptoms. If you guys have any symptoms and you're really concerned about them, make sure you go get tested. It's good for your children. It's good for everybody that you come in contact with. I think according to news reports, they're making the testing more available, easier to do. But, on this note, pay attention to the governor's and the president's rules that they've set out. Practice social distancing. There's a lot of jokes out on Facebook, and I get bored and kind of look at Facebook a little bit, and they are so funny. One of the things that I saw on Facebook, well, no, actually, I didn't see this one on Facebook. I talked to somebody yesterday. They gave me that idea. If you're parents that are at home with your kids and your kids are getting bored and you're getting bored and the stress goes up, there's this thing, it's called the teddy bear game. You guys may have heard of it because you're parents and I hadn't, but it was really cute. It's about these people that are putting teddy bears in their windows, and then you can drive your kids around and they can count the teddy bears and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was just really funny. It's also a fun way, some things that you can do. On the note of stress relief, there's plenty of things that we can do right now. First of all, whatever works for you. If it's a long bath, if it's reading a book, going out for a drive, something it's very, very stressful times right now. My daughter-in-law, she has an app or a couple of apps on her phone, and one is soothing meditation. The other one, I think, is like a calming meditation. But go out and on your phones or your computer and try to find some apps like this that might be comforting to you, might help you relieve some stress. The least amount of stress we have in us, the least, we don't get angry as much. We can channel that anger and that stress through apps, through whatever you choose for your meditation or calming. When your kids take naps, when they go to bed at night, those are the perfect times that you can spend some time for yourself, which reminds me, make sure that you're spending time for yourself, okay? Another one thing that I wanted to repeat, I'm hoping to the least amount of time that I spend on this, the least amount of money that they pay me. We're a nonprofit. We don't have a lot of money. So this is what I'm trying to do. If you need to text me, or call me, that's fine. But what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to repeat this a few times in this class and probably the next one, is that all the videos are going to be found in Parenting Class Tuesday. I tried to separate my classes on accounts, and I haven't figured out how to do that yet. I did learn how to do subtitles, which means I can name each single video now. So let's see, this is the Tuesday night class, I think. I'm getting them so mixed up. But your classes are going to be like, this one is going to be number 4. So just find number 4, watch the video, take notes for the quiz, and then when you're done, write those on a note paper, take a picture of them, text me. It's 502-352-6144. Email the other one, another picture, email another picture. This one goes directly to my director. She's the one that's going to be proving accountability. Anyway, the email address, if you guys forgot it, is frankfortsunshinecenter@gmail.com. Everything went great last week. You guys were all on board. Everybody is accounted for. Make sure that you check your sheet that you completed lesson 3. This one, of course, is lesson 4. Mainly today, what we're going to be talking about is, I've already forgot. Oh yeah, we're going to learn about family morals and values. I learned a lot of lessons when I went through this. This is the second time that I've taught this particular lesson. I've learned all kinds of things about myself. I've learned all kinds of things about my children's ethics and the morals and what me and my ex-husband were able to teach them. They are amazing, amazing men. I'm so proud of them. They're teaching their children morals and ethics. Something a little bit funny on that one is I have a 2-year-old grandson. He's my youngest. And my son called me. He said, "Mom, I know that you don't believe in spanking." He said, "But your 2-year-old got a little tap on his diaper this morning." I said, "He's just a baby. You're not supposed to do something like that." And he said, "Mom, he was beating up on Sparky." Sparky's the dog. So I was in total agreement. It wasn't abusive. It was just he had never been tapped. So he looked at him like, "What on earth?" And then they had talk to him as much as that a 2-year-old can comprehend. But that's a part of ethics and morals. Let's see here. I've got some definitions out here someplace. I'll probably come across it here in a minute. But children learn ethics in 2 different ways. They have direct experience with their parents. They observe the way their parents behave and interact with each other. If your child sees you stealing something from a store, they've learned it. They follow your example. I talk about role modeling a whole lot through all of these series, and you're going to hear a lot about it. But we are role modeling for our children. Alcohol and drugs at home. Our kids are modeling that. So be careful. My dad liked to have a beer every night when he came home from work. But that's all I ever saw him drink. Never saw him drunk. Never saw this or that. And those are the examples that I learned. My dad, he taught me ethics. He taught me morals and my values. One of those is helping others. Right now, is the time that we can help others. You don't have to be in contact. If you have extra food at home, put it in a box. If you know someone, just set it on their porch and leave. You don't have to have contact with them. But something that my dad taught me, oh gosh, this has been years ago. I'm 60 and I probably was only about, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12. My dad owned an apartment complex. And I was with him one day at the complex, and I followed my dad around everywhere he went. God love his heart. He was patient with me. But anyway, there was a man, and I remember him, and he was really upset. And he went to my dad, and he said, "Mr. Stivers, I got laid off. I'm doing everything I can to pay my bills, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay this month's rent." And my dad just sat there for a minute, and you could see him thinking, and he said, "You know what? A unit number, whatever unit it was, needs a new refrigerator. How about you help me move that up there, and we'll just call it even this month?" And I learned from that. I learned that there's ways to help people, to show that you care, that you show that you're supporting them. I've kept that lesson with me all of my life. And it was absolutely amazing. That was just the wonderful man that he was. He taught me over the years, and you can teach your kids the same thing. As we said, direct experiences with their parents is a way that they develop their morals and their ethics and their values. If you decide to do the box idea I gave, involve your kids. Explain to them why. Our neighbor doesn't have a lot of food and we have some extra. You want to help me pack the box so they have food? You're teaching them so much. And, they may not remember these things as they're growing up, but, from my experience, I learned a lot at that time. that I started doing for my friends, and that shaped the person that I've become. Well, I'm still becoming. But yeah, just show them different ways that they can learn from you. Anyway, and another thing, another way that your kids develop their morals and ethics and values is by showing how much you care about them. You're caring about them, showing your care, showing your love. They're going to have more tendency to share that love and care with other people as they grow. They're stronger, they're healthier. But we're learning about consistent care with our kids so that they can thrive. And that's just one of the many ways that we can do that. I don't know if this video is going to last a full hour. My main concern is that you get all the information that I can possibly give you. A lot of these things I'm Googling to make sure I don't give you the wrong information. But anyway, the definition of morals, what are they? They're the right and wrong ways to behave. A right way to behave is to show care and love for other people. An incorrect way to behave is not saying thank you, not showing appreciation for others, violence. Words can hurt more than violence sometimes. Those aren't good morals. Just in the way that you treat people. Where do family morals come from? Many different places. They come from parents, of course. They come from extended family, their grandparents, aunts and uncles, maybe older siblings. I know that my 2-year-old follows his 12-year-old brother everywhere he goes. Braden has been taught morals and values, and just with his brother hanging around him and watching his brother gently petting on the family animals, and he wants to do everything that his brother does. So make sure if you teach those older siblings, then the younger siblings are they're gonna be following their brothers or sisters. At an early age they want to follow them around. Later on it just gets on everybody's nerves. They learn through school. They learn through friendships. We talked about paying attention to the friends that your kids are hanging around with. And I think I suggested in this class that maybe the friends come into your house first, and then you can kind of judge, watch their morals, watch their values. Are these things that you want your child to learn? If so, allow them to have sleepovers. They can learn from each other. If they're not such a good person, then just, don't let your kids be around them. You don't want those learned behaviors. Another way is the media. The media nowadays, it absolutely kills me. I watch movies, and I'm terrible with Netflix and Hulu. I get caught binging on something, and here lately what I've been doing, since I don't have to get up so early, is staying up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, Netflix binging, I love it. But they're portraying teenagers having sex, talking horribly to their parents, the language that they're using. The media is encouraging bad habits, smoking, alcohol abuse. Our kids see some bunch of teenagers having a party and drinking alcohol, and they learn that that's what you're supposed to do to have fun. Watch what your kids watch. Sit down and watch TV with them. See what they're learning. Even the commercials teach things. There's plenty of opportunity if you're spending time together. You're watching a movie together, and you see some of this going on. pause the movie. Tell your kids, this is all media. It's play acting. These are incorrect morals. Teach them what's incorrect by watching these movies. Explain to them why they're incorrect. Give them the opposites. Kids having parties without alcohol and how much fun that they can have, and they'll actually remember how much fun they had the next day. You can use that time to teach them about addictions, how easily alcohol can become addiction, how easily drugs become an addiction. You may have people in your family you can compare that to. Aunt Susie is an alcoholic. She started out with partying with a lot of friends, and she learned that consuming a lot of alcohol was a way that she dealt with her pain or depression. You don't want to be like that. Tell your kids it happens very easily, and teach them about genetics. Because of Aunt Susie and Uncle Robert and cousin this or that, you have several people. That's proven genetics right there. Explain all that to them. Let them see that. Most of you have little kids. I've got a few that have teenagers. Your little kids are going to be big kids. So start teaching them now. And you can teach them all through their lives. My kids teach me better ethics and morals. Yeah, it's kind of funny. They become my parent. It's what happens when you get old. But anyway, who should be the primary source to learn morals, ethics, values? Let's see, what else haven't we covered? Like I said, these are going to be a little bit short. I'm trying to extend it as long as I can so that we get the time that we're supposed to be allowed. I know that I have to follow that rule, but I'm also more for the quality of teaching and the quality of learning, more so than I am about the time, but we have to do both. So I'm going to give you all as much information as I can so that you'll learn as much as you can. So anyway, be patient with me. I'm going to be flipping around back and forth to different notes in case I forget something. Another thing, that parents learn, of course, what we said, they learn two different ways. Experience with their parents and observing behaviors. And on that note, as parents, we can't do one thing or say one thing and do another. It's confusing. It's confusing for adults, but it's even more confusing for kids. My mom and dad taught me that drinking, consuming a lot of alcohol is not good ethics, behaviors, morals. But she was so drunk the other night, or he was so drunk, I had to help him get into bed. Be consistent. Teaching your children to be nice to the family animals. Show them how to do that. If you're yelling and carrying on at the dog because he had an accident, and you told your kids to be nice, they're getting conflicting. Which one is right, which one's wrong. Something else that I've learned, I want you all to learn, to apologize. Apologize to that child. You're right. They called you out on it, which is a good thing. That means they're learning it. But apologize. That was not showing the best behavior. Those aren't the ethics and behaviors we want in this house. And I'm so sorry about that. Different things. You're teaching your kids not to steal, but yet they see you go into the store and sneak something in your pocket or your purse. Now they're conflicted. What am I supposed to do? What am I not supposed to do? Be consistent. Consistency touches other areas that we're going to learn about also. Consistency in hygiene. Let them, brush your teeth together. Consistency, that you do things every day and all the time. Maybe you're teaching them about language, correct language, incorrect language. You're teaching them that it's not okay to cuss. And you get so angry and frustrated, and there goes a word. Once again, talk to them. I'm sorry. I told you that this was not appropriate and that we don't want you to do it. We don't want it in our home. I made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. But if you do something that is not consistent, is that the right word I'm trying to say? I'm not doing these by script, so it's kind of, anyway, I just lost my trail of thinking. It'll come back. But consistency, it's very important. It's for the rules. Be consistent with your rules. If you told them a curfew, be consistent. Yeah, that's totally off topic, but it's important. Something you can think about. The paper lists 2 different rules that my family had. A lot of these things that we would do in discussion. We can't discuss now, and that's going to take a little bit of time off the video and the teaching. But I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. Of course, you can't respond back. I'll use myself as an example. Family rules. In homework and in class, we were going to talk about 2 rules that my family had when I was growing up. One of them, you don't cuss. You're not mean to people. Good manners. Being nice. Showing love to other people. Those were a few of the rules. Those are different sets of rules compared to curfew times and this and that. These are rules to set in place for ethics and morals. Teach your kids, if they do make a mistake, that everybody has them. I know you messed up on this time on this moral that I was trying to teach you. So let's do better next time. That's going to be touching into discipline later when we talk about that. But family rules, they involve do's and don'ts. Like I said, you don't say, use bad language. You don't lie to me. We haven't talked about lies. It's not in here, but it's very, very important. Watch your kids tell the truth. Maybe there's something that you're trying to cover up. You don't want somebody else in the family to know. You don't go to your kid and say, whatever you do, make sure you don't tell your Nana about this. If you ask her, if she asks you, you tell them blah, blah, blah. You've taught them how to lie. You don't want that situation. Don't let it happen. Lying, there was a rule in my home with my kids that you broke a rule, whatever it was that they did. You lied about this or you lied about that. My rule, you come to me right off and tell me what you've done. You're going to be punished for what you've done. But if you lie to me and I find out later, that punishment is going to be tripled. So right now you came to me, you told me the truth. You don't get to go to basketball practice this week. They lie to you about it. You find out later, they got to miss 2 or 3 practices. That's an example. Maybe it's technology. Maybe it's TV. That's going to go into our discipline later in correct discipline. Find something that your child loves. With my oldest, it was sports. I use sports as discipline. I don't believe in spanking. Taking things away from my kids worked a lot better anyway. My youngest was into technology. We didn't have all the technology now, or then, that we do now, but there were video games, and he was addicted. So I would take that away from him. The same thing goes with if they break the rules, considering the values and morals and ethics, behaviors that you're trying to teach them. Put the same thing in place. Hopefully they're gonna understand it. But I have a funny story about my oldest son. That child couldn't lie. He he honestly could not. And he would come to me and he would answer a question or tell me something, and I could tell right off the bat. His facial expressions, his body language gave him away every single time. And instead of confronting him, I would just sit there and listen. And I wish now that I had timed it, but I tell you all, it would be less than an hour the majority of the time. Sometimes it was maybe the next day. But that kid would come to me crying his eyes out and spilling his guts, and Mama did this and Mama did that. And then we would have a talk about lying. He heard it a lot because he tried it. He just couldn't do it. We're going to talk about it again. There doesn't have to be a punishment in place. They're learning from what you've told them to do. Thank them. It's important to me that you're not lying. And right now we're just going to talk about it. Keep encouraging them not to do it. And I look back now, of course I didn't think about it then, but those times became less often. One of the worst things that son did was we allowed him to go to a party. He had been taught that if you're getting in over your head, to call us, we'll come and get you. And I was sleeping really good that night, so I didn't hear anything. And evidently, he's the one who told me. My ex-husband wasn't going to tell me. But he went to a party. He drank, I think it was 3 or 4 beers or something. He wasn't used to alcohol. And right automatically, he knew exactly what he had done. And he called us, and I didn't hear the phone. My husband heard it, and he called and went and got him. And so what I did is me and Chris sat down and we talked about it, about parties, about, you did the right thing. I know that you messed up. I'm thinking right now that you've learned from it. Let's talk more about drugs and alcohol. We brought it up again. I told him, that genetically I'm adopted, but I do know some information about my biological family. Alcoholism runs in that family. I don't drink. I did drink one time, a few times. I'm not going to lie here. And then it terrified me, well, not as a teenager, but as an adult, that those genetics could have been passed down to me. I didn't want that life for my kids. I didn't want it for myself. But anyway, that's a bunny trail, but it's still good teaching, right? I'm doing my best here. You all, by the way, you have no idea how silly I feel sitting there watching myself and talking. So if I start making funny, silly faces, just get a laugh and a giggle and go on, because this is really funny. I'm trying to turn my head as much as I can and read these things, because when I'm doing that, you all know that I'm about ready to break out with the face. But anyway, when your kids mess up, talk to them about how they messed up. With him coming and telling us the truth, we were making a good headway on teaching him morals and values, ethics, behaviors. And he was learning that. I don't mean to say that he learned it all in one swipe. We had different issues, through their teenage years. My youngest son, he wasn't like that. He didn't want alcohol. He didn't do the drugs. Me and him and one of my grandsons, we're nerds. Nerds are really easy to raise. They don't get into all that stuff. They're more concerned, but anyway, there's the bunny trail again. Here's another thing. There's a difference in family rules and children's rules. Actually, that's what it says, but I'm, right here I have to disagree with the book. Some of those rules, they're the same. I don't see where there's any rules that are any differently. If you all can think of any, text them to me, because maybe I'm teaching this incorrectly. But, like I've said, and I told about consistency, teach the rules and the values. And, you might say, I don't want you to steal things. Teach them what stealing is. Mommy, daddy, whichever, we don't steal. So I don't really agree with that, but I had to read it. Reasons to have rules. Kids knows what expected from them. It teaches them to cooperate with others. Rules give parents a nurturing way to exert authority. Yeah, that's a big one. You do have authority, but it's in like any other case. You do hold it over your kids in some ways. Yeah, maybe I'll think of some more information on that in a minute. Rules aren't set in stone. Sometimes they change. Sometimes maybe you think later it's like, maybe that was a little too strict. My teenager is 17. Maybe it's time to boost up the curfew time to 11. You can change the rules if you feel it's justified. Yeah. There's things that are going to come up, and those rules change as your kids get older, as they grow. Anyway, let's see. Oh, yeah. Here we go. There's rewards. Well, no, that wasn't good. Reward your kids with good behaviors, morals, and ethics. If the neighbor is sick, and you tell your kid, come on over here, let's go next door and take her trash out for her. The child does that. Reward them with something. Rewards don't have to be expensive. It can be something small, something small that your kid likes. Reward them with something like that. I did some FaceTiming with two of my grandchildren the other day. They're brothers. The youngest one's 2, and the oldest one is 12. And my 2-year-old had this little bitty tiny thing in his hand, and he was so excited he kept staring at it. Then he'd look up, and I said, Kason, what are you playing with, sweetheart? And he said something or another. I don't know. Of course, it was 2-year-old language. But it was a little cartoon character, a Pokemon, that's what it was. And then he was saying it has a tail, it has this, and come to find out it was just a silly something he got with a kid's meal somewhere. And Brittany said he packed that thing around all day long. Something. And that kid's room looks like a playroom. The old Toys R Us story, it looked just like it because his Nana spool's rotten. And that's what he was playing with. That's what he loved for the day. So rewards and gifts, they can be small things. They don't have to be expensive. As time goes on through this virus, where, people are going to have a decrease in their income. You don't have to spend that income on buying the most expensive thing that you can for your kid. Rewards for grades, rewards for this, rewards for that. They can be small, something small. Maybe it's just, especially the best thing to do is find something you can do together, of course. We talked about that, or I don't know if we talked about it in this class yet or not. It can be having one-on-one movie night. Let's me and you spend some time together. You did great today, and I am so proud of you. After you watched me take the trash out for the sick neighbor, then you came to me and asked me if we could go do it again. I don't know, different situations, different circumstances. Involve them when you're sharing love and values, and then reward them when they suggest doing it again. If they do it on their own. Something I taught my 2 boys. We lived out in Ball Knob. My kids knew a lot of farmers. And the first time I think it happened, it was a flood out by a well-known creek in Ball Knob. And one of Christopher's friends, they had some problems with fencing, and other things when the flood was cleared up. He was older, of course. I think he was like maybe 14, 15. And I suggested to him and my youngest, let's go out to such and such. Well, his friend was Brad. Let's go out to that farm and see what we can do to help them clean up some. And you know what? I was so proud of those two boys, because later there was many, many times that he would get a phone call from a friend or go hang out, and my dad's out there working on the fence. One of our cattle got out, and he immediately went to see what he could do to help. My youngest, he was the same way. I taught them what they could accept money for, what they could not accept money for. Those things like that, just helping someone, doing an errand for them. We had a neighbor that, I forget the circumstance, but anyway, they weren't able to cut their yard. So my boys went together. That was my suggestion. They did it. But they went together. They took care of the yard, cleaned everything up, and the person offered them money, and they said no. My youngest, he was tiny, he said, Mama won't like it if we do it. And my older one just kind of laughed and Corey, that's not what we say. But they were learning. You don't get paid for everything you do. Yeah, it's great when your kids get older. If they want a summer job on cutting some yards to earn some spending money, that's wonderful. But also teach them that we do things like that, to take the trash out for someone, to run an errand for somebody. These things we don't want money for. We're just showing our love and our concern. And that's teaching ethics and values. These are things that they learn all their lives. My oldest son, both of them. It's happened to Christopher a few more times than it has Corey, but, he's seen somebody on the road and they needed a jump. He helped. Somebody's run out of gas. He's the first one to help. Both of the boys open and close doors for people. Elderly especially, women especially, I teach them to respect. I teach them to respect women, but men as well. And they open the doors for everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. My youngest has, I think she's getting ready to be my future daughter-in-law. I'm excited. I hope so. She's a good one. But dating, he opens and closes the door for her. That's probably not going to last the longer they're married, because Chris used to do the same thing. I don't think he does it anymore. Actually, I think it finally started to get on Brittany's nerves. But teach them those things anyway. Teach them to respect men, respect women, respect no matter what the age are. Those are good values and morals. Teach respect. Show respect. Make sure your kids see you showing respect. Braden, he's 12. He opens and closes doors for others. Sometimes he'll forget, and sometimes he forgets and just goes on. But I have seen him a couple of times forget, and he'll turn around and try to grab the door. And I'm saying, Braden, I know, honey, and that's okay. You just forgot this time. You were excited about such and such, whatever. But they're teaching him those things. I talk a lot about Chris and Corey. I don't talk a whole lot about Gabe and Gracie. They live in Danville, but I know they're being taught the same things. I'm going to start, we're FaceTiming. I'm going to start having more conversations about those things. I trust my son. I trust that he's teaching those, but I want to see it myself, Any excuse to talk to the grandkids, right? But anyway, your goal is to create positive behavior and cooperation. And when they're seeing your good values, your good morals, your good ethics, they're learning about positive behaviors. On the other side, if you're teaching them that you see somebody in there that are elderly, and you don't open the door for them. You may even slam it in their face. Their kids have learned from you. That's role modeling. It's teaching ethics. It's teaching morals. It's teaching values. They see these things. But anyway, we were talking about rewards. There's other different, I skipped over this one. I think it's important. We talk a lot more about this later when we get into discipline. But when they don't follow those morals and ethics and values and behaviors, I told you with mine, one was sports, one was technology. They got withheld. Other things might be just a timeout. Don't make it forever, especially for little bitty ones. They have no... Shoot, I forgot to turn my phone off. It distracts me, and there it goes. Anyway, ignore it. I'm trying to. My attention goes everywhere sometimes. You can ground them. I laugh about that every time I say it. My mom was the worst. She never could stick with it. She would ground me for something I'd done, and you're grounded for 3 days or a week or whatever. Every single time, within a day, she broke her rule. Especially when I was driving. She would take my car keys. Well, the next day she wanted me to go run an errand for her. I'd get my keys back. So anyway, she never learned. So I always got by with more things than I should have. But anyway, if you ground your child, Braden just got grounded. Like I told you, he's a nerd. He's a school freak, straight A's all the time. But he forgot a piece of homework. And his mom, she grew up not having anyone that was concerned about her schooling or her morals or ethics, behaviors. She's a very I love that girl so much. She's amazing. And anyway, Braden was telling me, he said, Nan, I got grounded from all of his technology, and he's a technology guru. And I said, what did you do? And he said, I forgot a homework assignment. And I said, well, what did Mom do? And he started naming all these things. And I said, is there anything left you can do? He said, yeah, I can watch TV, which is not his great big funnest thing to do. But anyway, and I said, how long? He said, a week. And she stuck with it for that solid week. I doubt that kid's going to forget a homework assignment for a very long time. But she stuck to it. She didn't change the rules. She didn't change her mind. She stuck with it. Maybe it's a loss of privilege. Those kind of things kind of go the hand in hand. You can look at things, maybe your kid comes to you and says, I want to go to such and such birthday party. Take away that privilege. But anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is when they don't follow the rules on ethics and morals, behaviors that you've set in place, there are different ways of punishing punishing instead of spanking or hitting. You don't have to do that. There's always different ways that you can think of. Maybe as a toddler, they try to get into an electric outlet. By all means, tap their hand and pull it away. Case in my 2-year-old, I got him a pretend grill for Christmas, and there's a little thing at the bottom. It looks like charcoals, and you hold this little wand, and they get red. He was so stinking cute. We showed him how to do it, and he put his little hands back. He said, "It hot, it hot." And he had been taught that getting around fire and heat was dangerous and you got hurt. Of course, he doesn't do that anymore since he's had it for several months. But yeah, we all laughed. We thought it was the funniest thing. And I thought, he's being taught really, really well. He's learning these things. I remember his brother, when he was little, I was loading the dishwasher and I put a knife in the very, very back. And he said, Nana, I can reach that. And it's dangerous. And I said, honey, you're old enough to know that it's dangerous, but why don't you go in the living room and play a game or do whatever and let Nana load the dishwasher and close the door so you're not around it. So they learn dangers. They know what's dangerous. They learn all these things so they can learn about ethics and morals. But if punishments, and I think this is important, if punishments are only used when kids are misbehaving, if that's the only thing you do when they misbehave, a lot of times it's just not going to hold out. But if you talk to them and if you discuss with them, if you make sure, if it's the first time, everybody makes mistakes, so you're not going to do that anymore. You got punished for it. The punishment is over. Teach them to apologize to you. That teaches them to apologize to others. But anyway, this is the end of the lecture. I'm going to go back. We're getting ready to go over the test questions right now, and I want to make sure that I gave you all the information that you needed to do these things. So be patient. Give me just a second to make sure that I did all that. Yeah, we covered that one. Let's see. Where's that one? Yeah, we taught that one. We taught that one. And let's see, I think there was another one. Oh, I left that one out. Okay, this is going to be a fill in the blank. What is an appropriate age? Well, it's going to be true and false, actually. What is an appropriate age to start teaching your children morals, ethics, and behaviors? Remember, it's true and false. So I'm going to give you 3. Your answer is going to be which one? No. Maybe it's multiple. Let's do it multiple choice. Gosh, I'm so sorry for this. Let me repeat it one more time since I've messed up really bad on this one. Multiple choice. Here we go. Appropriate age to teach morals, ethics, and values. Is that 2? Is it 18? And is it 24? Anyway, I'm thinking that let's see if there's something else I forgot. I can't go back and count how many that I've done. Let's see, we did that one. Let's see, we did this one. We did that one. And we did that one. I think that's all of the questions. If I messed up on the text, just say, teacher, you messed up. You only gave us 3 questions. Apologize for that. Like I'm saying, I'm still working on it. Anyway, your answers are due on Monday. Remember to text them to me. Write them on a note paper. Take a picture of it. Then send me that picture through text and send the picture through the email, which is frankfurtsunshinecenter@gmail.com. These are due Monday, folks. You've got a good record. You're doing everything you're supposed to do. And first, I'm so proud of you for getting it all. There was one young man that finished everything yesterday, and he was so excited. And yeah, he and I hate it because my plans for the end of these classes was to have a little celebration for you guys. A cake. I make some fantastic homemade ice cream. If all this mess is said, well, if it's said and done, whenever this old coronavirus mess is over with, we're going to have that. Okay, I promise you. But anyway, you can get them finished. Seems like it's been a long time, but be encouraged through him. He got to finish up. What he had was a makeup video or a makeup class, and I did that for him. And I talked to my director. She was able to get the certificate done for him, and because of this social distancing, instead of him going to get it or presenting it, she mailed it to him. So be encouraged by that. You can do this. You can succeed. Right now is the easiest time in the world. Like I said, I can sit around in my coffee. My living room's a mess. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, it's just the way it is right now. But anyway, you guys have a great week. Practice social distancing. There on the news, there was a person who got the virus because they thought it was really smart to have a coronavirus party. Yeah, have a coronavirus celebration party when all this stuff is done. Okay. Play the teddy bear game with your kids. Get them out of the house. You're getting yourself out of the house. They start misbehaving. There you go. Teach a rule. You misbehave, we're going to stop playing the game. We're going to go home. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Anyway, you guys be safe and be careful. I'll talk to you next week. Oh, and this is class number 4. That's the video you'll look for. That's the box that you'll mark on your attendance sheet. And if I've forgotten anything, just text me, let me know.